Hello, HM here. It's 11th of November and something truly important happened in the Ukraine-Russian war. That's why I made this video. Kherson city has fallen. It has been taken over by Ukraine forces. The Russians was kicked out. They withdrew because they couldn't sustain their troops in that Kherson region. And we should talk a little bit about that and the implications. I should note that this is a short video. I'll try to make daily videos and they can't be planned. I can't spend weeks trying to plan a daily video. So I don't. I just talk about some stuff and it will be a short video, 10 minutes maximum. But that allows me to post daily videos. I should also say that just because I'm trying to post daily videos, it doesn't mean that my long form, carefully planned and researched videos will not appear. I'll still be doing them, but I just think that to maintain a YouTube channel that has any chance of getting any subscribers, you gotta have daily videos. So these daily videos with some news that I talk about will be my bread and butter, you could say, and then the rest, my long form videos, will be what I really care about and think is super interesting, and that will also have a lasting. The long form videos should have a lasting meaning. You know, they should not just be news. They should have information that is relevant also in a couple of years from now. So that's my intention with that. Okay, let's start this video by taking a look at a deep state map. That's a map that's maintained by the Ukraine armed forces, but they are fairly accurate. And let's zoom out. We have Kherson right here. Let me show you where that is. You know, this is down here. We have the Black Sea. And here, up here we have Europe and we have Denmark where I live. And this is Ukraine. So let's zoom in again to take a look at what really happened today here. The smart thing, this entire region here was liberated. We can go back in time here by clicking this. You can see it becomes, now that was how it looked the 9th of November. And when we click back, that's just 2 days ago. And all that was, the red stuff here was something that Russia had control over. They had about 30,000 soldiers, maybe even up to 40,000 soldiers there. And then in just 2 days, it was taken over here by Ukraine. That's pretty impressive. It also meant that Russia was actually running out of this region as fast as they possibly could. The US military assessed that it would take 2 weeks to make this withdrawal, but it all happened in 48 hours. So I don't think they got a lot of equipment with them. I think they actually started to prepare for this withdrawal somewhat before. So they took their artillery and anti-aircraft missile systems and move them on the other side here of the bank, because what you need to know is that there's a big river here going through here that kind of separates this part from the other part here. So, and there are only 2 ways you can go from this area here to this area over here, and that's Anatolsky Bridge, I think it's called, which is right here. We can zoom in. Anatolsky Bridge, I think it's called the Anatolsky Bridge, but don't hold me up on that. It's this bridge here. That was one thing that they could use. And then there's another crossing. The only other crossing is a dam that has dammed up this water here, and that's also producing electricity. They could also drive over here. So all the troops had to go through here and here, 30,000 of them. And apparently looks like they have gotten most of their troops out, and those who are still back, well, they'll be taken prisoners of war or they will be killed in combat. Because Russia has blown up this Anatolsky Bridge, and they probably also blown up as much as they could of this dam without actually blowing up the dam itself. But I'm pretty sure they have sabotaged the electricity generating turbines, and they also sabotaged whatever they could of the railroad and the road that goes over that dam. But what they cannot do, the Russians, was to blow up the dam. And why can't they do that? Because there's a lot of water here on the other side of that dam that would flood mainly this area on the side that Russia still controls and where they have a lot of soldiers. Don't want to flood their own soldiers. Another thing is, it's a war crime to destroy a dam. But what is actually most important is that there is up here is maybe I should draw it. Let me see if I can draw it. I have this little tool here. Right here, there is a nuclear power plant. I believe it's the largest nuclear power plant in the world, and it takes its cooling water from this reservoir behind the dam. And if that dam is blown up, there won't be any cooling water for this nuclear power plant. That will be catastrophic beyond mentioning. A nuclear power plant that can't cool its reactors will melt down, and you'll have a nuclear catastrophe. So that's another reason why Russia simply can't blow it up. And one more reason, let me get rid of this annotation here and get back to my mouse. One other reason is that this dam here, they have this dam. There is a canal with water that actually supplies from that dam. Yeah, I think it's right here. This is a canal that they built that actually supplies Crimea, which is also occupied with fresh water, so they can have agriculture and stuff in Crimea. And if they blow that up, then Crimea will definitely not get that water either. So I don't think they'll blow it up. Anyway, let's get back to why this is such an important thing. Of course, it's a huge military victory for Ukraine. 40,000 soldiers, Russian soldiers here, and a front line where Ukraine also had about 40,000 soldiers on the other side of that front line. Now Russia, of course, won't need to have 40,000 soldiers here. They can move it up to the other front to the remaining front line there is in this war, which is going all along here. The red part here of the map is Russian occupied, and on the other side is Ukraine. So what we have is now a new front line that is right here. And before we had also a front line here. It's also neither Ukraine nor Russia will, of course, keep a lot of troops here because it's easily defendable. There's this water separating the sides, and you can't just cross it with anything. All the bridges here has been blown up. Russia blew up this Antonovsky Bridge, and you can't cross it. Then you should do an amphibious assault on the other side. That's really, really hard. That's something everybody will try to avoid and not do in a war, because history has shown that it's super hard to do amphibious assault. Now, I said that the Russians have blown up the Antonovsky Bridge, and here's a little video of it that I'm going to show you. It's from the Reddit group about the Russian-Ukraine war. I don't know if we should put some sound on it. So you can see it's completely blown up. Even there's a long stretch here, it's also blown up. Big holes in it, and whole sections has collapsed. All these are blown up. It's definitely not going to be usable by anyone. Let's get out of this. There's another video I think I'd like to show you down here. Okay, here's another video I'll just show you. I'm not going to put the sound on, but that shows the Russians here are walking through. The last soldiers are walking over this pontoon bridge below the Anatolsky Bridge, and after they have crossed, they blow it up. So that's how that is. Okay, and then finally there's one more video here I'd like to show from Kherson city center that shows some brave people who have ventured outside and started to celebrate the liberation of their city. But it's a city that once was 300,000 people. Now it's probably down to 100,000 because of refugees. And yeah, it's not the same city as it was before, but of course it's great that now they can start getting back to a more normal life than what they had previously under Russian occupation. So we should ask ourselves, how could this happen? 4 weeks ago, Putin had a big celebration in Moscow where they annexed all the territories of Ukraine, including this Kherson region. And then 4 weeks later, this happens. 40,000 soldiers have to be pulled out, and Ukraine takes this. Plus, there's this fact that Kherson was the only regional capital or oblast capital city that Russia managed to capture during this war here with Ukraine. Everything else I've captured so far has been smaller cities, apart perhaps from this one, Mariupol here, but it's not as large as Kherson. I think there are 100,000 or 120,000 in Mariupol, but Kherson is 300,000. So it's a big, and it's a oblast capital city. So how could this happen? And because it was only 4 weeks ago, Putin annexed this territory, said it forever would be Russian. It happened a lot also because presumably Ukraine managed to blow up this bridge down here at Crimea that connects Russia over here with Ukraine over here, Crimean Ukraine territory. That bridge was blown up, and that was basically the bridge that supplied with all kind of things for civilians and also the military, this entire area here. But they still, and now with that bridge blown up, and it seems like it won't be fixed until September next year, they have to drive in order to supply Crimea and all these territories here. They have to drive it all in from Russia and then through basically a war zone here, where they can be fired upon with Ukraine artillery. Plus, Ukraine has destroyed the railroad here that's going right here, so they can't use the railroad. But they could use the railroad here, and the Russian logistic system is very much based on railroads. They do not like to use trucks, and now they have to use trucks that can be bombed from Ukraine positions. I don't think that it will help them much, Russia, with their logistic nightmare here, that they have pulled these 40,000 people out, because they still have a large population. I would say that there are probably 800,000 people here who needs to be supplied with all kind of stuff. So the nightmare for Russian army is going to continue. Plus, what has happened now is that Ukraine can now move all the troops they had here, probably 40,000 troops. They can move them to the front lines here and increase the pressure on Russia. So, but we will see what will happen. What will happen next? But I think I'll end the video here. It shouldn't be that long. It's already much longer than I intended. So I hope you thought this was interesting. Thank you very much. And before I go, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Help it get going. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.